Yes, I'm been trying to break into voiceover for like 10 years. And I finally booked my first voiceover like a couple of months ago. It was a political ad. And
One,
they,
two, three,
thank you.
four. 1, 2, 3,
And then
4.
right
1, 2, 3,
before
4.
they
There we
I
go.
did it, they canceled.
Of course, I can
But
always
it was
move the mic
SAG,
too.
So they owed me the session fee. So
Seems to be working. All right.
Awesome.
thank you.
Clean up.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm an on-camera actor. I'm a successful on-camera actor, so I'm trying to transition.
Where am I hearing Dan? Do you have a head?
I'm sorry.
Do you want to plug into that?
No, just hit the turn off the sound on.
The sound is off on that. It's coming into her.
I'm sorry. I just muted it. I apologize.
That's okay. All right. So when you're talking,
All right, George. Are you ready?
I'll just put the mic here.
I don't have any.
There is paper towel right behind there, above the sign.
Here's a napkin. United. Sure.
I guess Ari is going to get groomed first. He is an old dog.
Are they here now, the groomers? Or is Marcy
They'll be here. They should be here about now. So, alrighty.
Oh, your water bottle is it's pretty funny.
Me?
Yeah, because it's green, so it's keying out.
Oh,
that's
is that
funny,
why I
yeah.
don't see it? Okay, I'll,
Invisibottle. It's okay. We do it all. We do it all the time.
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, one of my
And-
fans got this
Right.
one.
And I need to see the
It's
show
cute.
notes too. So if I can.
I will scooch over a little bit
You
more.
need to see him up there.
Yep. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, I think I can see them from here.
Where's your?
Okay.
Where's your iPad,
that's,
Dan?
that's my fault.
Do you need a laptop? You want to use my laptop?
No.
Right.
Up. Okay.
You're gonna read questions from there.
I can read those questions from there. Yeah.
I can read them a lot easier from here,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
right in front of me.
Take the easy road, Mr.
No,
Good.
I can see that. That'll work.
Audio chameleon business.
So, and then you and I can just
Yeah.
get together like that, like Lennon and McCartney. And
Mm-hmm. And you can hear me okay?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello.
Hello.
so that camera. George, can you smush just a tiny bit to your left?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, we probably want to take the water bottle, or I guess it's in between George.
I'll put mine in the shot too, and then we can both have green water bottles that key out, and we'll be friends.
I guess that's fine.
Okay, let's roll. Unscripted and unrefined.
Yeah, this camera thing's gonna drive me crazy. Okay.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna love that camera, Sue. I'm really disappointed in you.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, it's just too many things to control.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then having the show notes on the same screen and being overlapped by
Okay.
all the other controls.
And then having to learn
What
it
camera
5
am I
minutes
looking
before the
at?
show.
That
That
one
one.
and that one there, I guess.
Is that the Logic?
No, that's it. It is a Logitech, but it's the Logitech Brio.
Rio. That's what I got too. It
Yeah.
keeps cutting out on some mics when I switch from Zoom to
Yeah.
to one and then back.
Okay, we got people watching, so we might as well get going here.
16 people.
You can pin my comment whenever you get a chance, George.
All right, I'm updating the website. I know.
Okay.
We're waiting for George's to go, and then I'll count you in.
Okay. For those of you waiting, you're just gonna have to wait a second, but it'll be totally worth it, right, Mishka? You got to go get groomed. What? No? Yes? No? Maybe? Kind of? Come on.
How about a treat, Papa? How about a friggin' treat, Papa?
Better do nothing.
Marcy will come get
Come
it.
Come on, give me that baby. Hi, Mishka love. Just a baby. What a sweet baby. Matches Mama's sweatsuit. I know. Mishka didn't show today.
Okay, website is updated.
Okay.
Alright.
And
Let
we're
me
ready to roll.
refresh and make sure that it actually took the changes. Okay, it took the changes. There we go. All right, site is ready.
You're good.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, in 5.
Hey, it's time for VoiceOver Body Shop. You guys are amazingly patient. Unscripted and unrefined, but we're here. And our guest tonight is Debi Derryberry.
Hi, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you. It's our pleasure to have you. And it's Mishka's pleasure to be in your lap.
Here. Yes, she matches my sweatsuit, so it's all good.
Very
Happy
nice.
place.
All right. We ready, Mr. Woodham?
Let's do this.
It's time for VoiceOver Body Shop right now. It's time for VoiceOver Body Shop. Brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the makers of Source Connect. VoiceOver Heroes, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voice actor website doesn't have to be a pain in the butt. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. And World Voices, the industry association of freelance voice talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George. Well, hello there. I'm Dan Leonard,
And I'm George Whittam.
and this is VoiceOver,
Body Shop.
or VO.
BS.
Welcome
Yeah.
once again.
Entering
Entering the studio now is...
our special audience member.
That's right. Anyway, our guest tonight is Debi Derryberry. We've got a lot of great stuff to talk about, but you know, Debi is one of Hollywood's most active voiceover artists. She's probably best known for the voice of Jimmy Neutron.
It's Jimmy Neutron.
Got a blast.
Got a blast.
Okay, there we go. Let's see. Maureen, Bridget, Philip, Ken, Scott, and Nurse Beatrice on Bill Burr's Netflix hit show, F is for Family,
Bill Burr.
among
man, I
other
love
things.
Bill Burr.
You're also a very talented musician and songwriter, too.
Thank you.
There's so many things that she does. Welcome back to our show. You're one of our favorite people to have on here.
Thank you for having me, Dan and George. Always a pleasure to be here for VOB.
Cheers.
Yes, I like to just say it.
Yes. And Mishka's thrilled to have you here, too.
Hi, everybody. It's my show. It's the Miska Show. Thanks for being here.
Anyway, you are a very busy lady these days. You've been doing a lot of work. Of course, you've been infirming, I guess, for a couple of months, but you've been doing all this stuff. Like, what are you working on now? Are you working at all or still recovering from...
Let's see. I am working, of course, on all the stuff I can't tell you about, but I have a couple of video games recording, and I just released a new kids song called I'm a Great Recycler. That the video is out on my YouTube channel, and it just won the NAPA Award, the National Parent Products Award.
Oh,
So
very good.
I'm thrilled about that. So if any of you have little kids or just act like one, you can go to my website and watch I'm a Great Recycler.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, we are voice actors, which some people might think is, what are you...
Acting
You're just
like kids.
Acting like a kid.
But I'm still working and auditioning, and I had a little back surgery, so I sat for a lot of sessions for a couple months, and now I'm able to stand again for sessions. I also just released a 3-part virtual class that follows my book, Voiceover 101. And I know it's green, it probably doesn't show up. But I wanted to have a class so that people could afford my class, even though I'm not there in person. It's very affordable, and you can take like 3 hours of me virtually.
Nice.
So that just released, which is really made me feel really good to be able to give that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the title is Voiceover 101,
Mhm.
How to Succeed as a Voice Actor. And but the business has been changing a lot. You and I have talked about this.
Thus, the second edition.
Second edition. Now it makes total sense. What do you think has changed from when we all started doing this? And you've been doing this a little longer than me. So, but What have you seen changes, especially in the very recent past?
Well, I think as in any job description across the planet, it's now acceptable to do your VO virtually. And I think a lot of Mishka wants down. Will you help me out there? I think there was resistance because, as in any company, that they didn't know if people could really do it virtually, and being forced into it. The places that I work with, mostly, cartoon studios, have realized they can do it virtually. And I think it's a little more challenging animation-wise because there's so many highs and lows.
Right.
Audiobooks, people have been doing it virtually forever because it's just you in your booth and you do your own editing. But with animation, now the voice artist has to be a really good engineer and, hire these guys so that you can set your stack so you don't overmodulate all the time and have a decent interface. I found that things like for the home person, I love the Scarlett, but I don't think it works as great for animation just because of the highs and lows.
Yeah.
But I have that Apollo Twin, and of course I like the way it works fine. But that's one of the big changes, of course, is being able to work from home. And it's forced those of us who do work from home into having to be more hands-on with the engineering. Thank goodness there's you guys that we can call and say,
But wouldn't it be cool if there was an audio interface that was made for voiceover actors?
Yeah, because it's all designed for making music.
Is there one? Is that what we're leading up to? I feel like
Is there one?
I feel like you're getting ready for the big pitch here. Something I don't know about yet.
I'm not promising
No,
anything.
We haven't found one yet.
I'm just saying.
I like having two inputs because I have my microphone at my console, and then I have one in the booth. So if I have a student in the booth, I can still talk to them. I suppose if I had to get by on just a solo, I could.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that the Apollo Twin has, I know it's not called the Apollo Twin because it has two of those holes, but it does.
Yeah. No, but yeah, you wear multiple hats.
Yeah, you wear multiple hats and you have
voice
to
actor,
now.
You're essentially a producer because you're
Yeah.
producing yourself. You're a director and coach. So you have to have these different modes of operation, which definitely adds a level of complexity for sure.
But I think it's really nice that the other end is accepting of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the software companies may have had to scramble, but they figured it out so that there's this thing called looping on films where like 10 people will come together and you'll do ADR on a film and everybody will have to be, okay, you're all screaming at one time because the walls are falling down. And so...
They try to have you do that remotely, but live?
Yes. However, you can't do it on a Zoom because there's all the delay.
Right.
But these companies, like, I think it's I want to say ClearFeed, but I think it's CleanFeed, have figured out a way so that an engineer can take all these components, all these inputs, and hear something simultaneous.
Yeah. The engineer hears everything they need to hear. You individuals don't necessarily hear the other 9 actors while they're screaming.
And then the director doesn't always hear it right away. So there's that extra step where the director has to let the engineer line it up.
Glue it together.
Glue it and line it so that he can see it and say, yes, I approve, yes, I don't.
Yeah.
But I think...
but it's possible.
It
The
is.
bottom line is it's possible.
It's really crazy, all the things that are possible now. And it's also nice because, that we're going to Cancun tomorrow, all of us, and we're going to be working from there. I'm kidding. But we could.
Checking my phone right now if I have a ticket.
We can work from anywhere as long as there's internet.
Yeah. Now, we've only been telling all the producers this for like the last 10 years. You could talk to people all over the country. There are a lot of talented people out there. Like, no, we have to use this.
Well, that's the bad part of all of this, is that now our competition pool has grown globally.
Right.
As long as they can stay up that late.
Or get up really early for doing stuff in India and stuff. So,
Which is really great for everybody who wants to get into voiceover who doesn't necessarily live in LA.
Yeah.
But there's always that twist where the audition will say, you have to be able to at least come into the studio if we need you to.
Right.
And
Hollywood wants to work with Hollywood because it's a giant
Hollywood.
family. It's a
Yeah.
very social thing. It's like the new Netflix series Hollywood Aside, which you should check out. It's very interesting. It's a very familial thing. And, you know, they want to hire their friends and their family and their neighbors and their community. It's so communal. It's
Yeah.
very warm and fuzzy.
I think particularly voiceover is I don't nothing against on camera actors,
Hmm.
but I do think the voiceover family community is I don't know, a little tighter, a little
We are.
kinder, a little at least I just enjoy the voiceover community so much.
Well, we're not virtual. We're not actual physical competition, like going into a casting lounge and staring everybody down because it's all anonymous. And so we all figure, look, if we all sound good, we all look good. One person sounds bad, all the home studio voice actors, every producer, oh, the home studio, we don't want to hear that.
Right.
So
Hmm.
And for a lot of video games, when I audition, there's a common direction that they want to test your studio. So there's no, what do you call it when you,
noise floor.
but you can't put any doodads on your audition. You can't run your stack on it.
Compression.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
etc.
do anything. They
processing,
want to hear
right.
it
Expanders.
unprocessed. Thank you for that word. Word retrieval skills are not my forte.
It's not getting better here either. So
Gooder.
it's not getting
Unbleeped
gooder
with.
here.
Unbeeped with. Yeah, that's what they want.
Yeah, so the non-processing of it means that you have to make sure that, I mean, yeah, I won't process it, but I might run in if I had too much coffee and take out my teas. Teas are the little things that show up on your recording that are this noise. That doesn't really travel on the mic, does it? You know what? Zoom can't
We
hear
hear
that
it.
noise. When I'm
Yeah.
Zooming students, I'm trying to teach them TSK,
Yeah.
and this is how you TSK. But you can hear me, but
Yeah,
the
we
other
hear it.
end of the Zoom can't hear
Yeah.
that noise.
Yeah, it's
weird.
because Zoom has this extremely,
Got noise cancellation.
I hate to
on it.
bring up the letters AI. Let's
Yeah.
just say BJ.
Okay.
It has this thing called BJ, and it learns about. No, that's not good either. CK.
That's good. Go with
Okay, CK. It has this thing called CK, and it figures out what voice is and what isn't voice, and it tries to figure it out. My daughter is also getting some voice coaching, and she occasionally will do like a creature sound,
Uh-huh.
and it won't send the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom goes, that's not human. We're going to take that out.
Right, I'm
so you have
trying
to
to
go into the
teach,
settings, and you have to turn
Animal
off auto.
sounds.
Right.
Yeah, you have to set it in low reduction, like the lowest
Is
setting.
that what it is? It's
Yeah.
not. There's something in the upper corner of Zoom that says.
Well, that's original
adjust for-
sound. There's original sound.
Do you want
mode.
that on or off?
If everybody's wearing headphones, you can do on, original sound on.
Okay.
And that will turn off all the echo cancellation and the noise reduction and all that rot.
And then for because I teach animal sounds, and
Yeah.
they're like, "What is that? I see your mouth, but there's no meow.
Yeah, I know.
I see you
Zoom
barking.
does this.
There's no bark." That's so funny.
It
And
is so- yeah.
I'm trying to teach the elephant noise,
Yeah.
which is a trumpet noise that you go up. I don't know if this is going to pick it up.
Yes.
Zoom doesn't want nothing to do with that noise
No, it
at
doesn't.
all.
Fortunately,
No, it
we're not
doesn't.
on Zoom, so it's
Yeah, we're not on Zoom, thankfully.
I will
We-
attack whatever it is.
We need more animal sounds in the studio.
yeah, really. At least she's not barking.
That's the
So-
goat. She doesn't like that.
One of the things that a lot of people who want to get into animation, what does it take to get in? I mean, it's probably much harder than it used to be, and it was never easy in the first place.
I think you know what's the hardest, at least I think so, is given its voice acting, you have to be a good actor.
Right.
So I'm assuming that anyone wanting to get into voice acting, especially animation, is a good actor, and that you have studied voiceover and you know mic technique, because I think in animation mic technique is more important than in any other
Yeah,
facet of VO, because there's so many highs and lows.
yeah.
And I think one of the hardest things is I'm just having a little brain fart right now
That's okay.
because I had a really good thought about this.
It'll
Hardest
come to you.
things
Is getting the auditions.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who want to get an animation, first thing is, I want to book a Nickelodeon series or a Disney princess. Well, there's just some major obstacles in the way. One of them is that these days, the A-list on-camera celebrities are the ones getting the lead roles. Not always, but for the most part. And secondly, to get those auditions, you have to have a great agent. And for animation, there's probably only 10 to 12 agents that actually receive these.
Mm-hmm.
And to get with one of those 10 to 12 agents, you have to be someone that they don't have yet.
Mm.
Like, do they have a Debi Derryberry? Do they have, how many guys between 40 and 50 do they have? How many teens? How many? So you
They're
want
like
to find
slots in a
agent.
giant grid that they're kind of filling in.
Yeah, you
Like
want to find that
literally, yeah.
fishbowl that has room for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the question is, can people still break in? Because a lot of
Yes.
people want to do it, but what does it take to push yourself to that level?
I have seen people succeed by writing their own series and putting themselves in it and releasing it on. I'm looking at you. There is a loophole in the Screen Actors Guild where you can create a project and make it for new media and put yourself in it, Taft-Hartley yourself, which means get yourself in SAG, and whether you make it or not, or whether it airs or not, or whether it's successful or not, boom, you're in SAG. But maybe it is successful, you know, maybe you have something like that little snail, what's her name? The one on YouTube?
Snail
Help
on
me out.
YouTube.
You know, the movie that, oh, come on, that the Kyoto brothers just did this nice little, come on, you
Oh my
guys help
gosh,
me out.
I know
Myrtle
what it
the
is.
snail. No,
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. Our demographic is not
you
in this
guys
room.
all know what I'm talking about.
Many of you watching know.
But
They're all
that
yelling at the
started
camera.
out-
They're yelling at their computer.
Put it in the chat
Put it
room.
in the chat.
Please put it in the chat.
But that started out as just somebody's baby.
Yeah.
Right.
And these little things can succeed. So that's one way of making your own project. Also, a lot of people feel bad about approaching family members or the uncle of a family member who you knew or the brother of someone you went to college with. That's kind of the way it happens. It's called Hollywood nepotism,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a real thing.
It's a family thing.
Or you
Yeah.
meet people who are repped by an agent that you want to be with. Well, that agent might not look at your demo, no matter how great it is, unless you have a referral. So you're right, Dan. It is very hard, but there are ways in. But you have to find the place that needs you
Right.
and be able to step up to the skill.
Right.
There are a lot of people who want back in VO now, and they never learned the technical end of it. And so if they say, I want to sign with this agent, are you able, if that agent sends you auditions, are you able to record them quickly and turn them around, edit them, and get them back to that agent? No, but my boyfriend has a studio. Yeah, but the boyfriend may not be available. You have to do it yourself. You can't depend on anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
But you have to have their home phone numbers.
Not our home phone numbers. We have websites. and
You have
can-
to be able to get a hold of these guys. I mean, I can't tell you the times I've called Dan or George and I'm like screaming out of my mind, they're like, calm down, Debbie. Just push this button
push
on
that
the
button
left.
there.
You're
Oh,
a
there
god.
it is. Anyway, if you're just joining us, our guest is the one and only Debi Derryberry, and we're talking about animation and voiceover in general. If you have a question for her, throw it in the chat room, because Jeff Holman is actually here in the studio with us, taking down all your questions and making sure that we get to ask them in our next segment.
And I'm so happy to answer any animation, voiceover, any kind of questions you guys have.
Excellent.
Anything yet, Jeff?
There's some questions actually we got before the show too that are
Oh,
in there.
good to know. Well,
But,
those get first in line when we
Yeah,
go to the
this
questions.
is a golden opportunity, you guys. Golden
Yeah, it's
opportunity.
free right now.
There's 4 questions already.
Okay, excellent. Good to hear that. So, what can people do if they want to get into this? What do they need to improve to increase their chances? of
Let me guess,
doing
it's
it?
not imitating other characters that already
Read
exist.
the book. And
Because that seems to be everything. I do a really good XYZ.
Oh,
Let me
that
guess.
is, people will say, you know, I want to get into voiceover. I can do a really good imitation of.
Yeah.
Well, that is a part of voiceover, and it's called impersonations.
True, yeah.
But it's not coming up with organic characters. It's a really amazing skill
Yeah.
that I am not privy to. I can't do it, but so many people are, and things come up where they need that. So you'll get an agent. Maybe that's your shoe-in. Maybe you let the agent know, I can do these characters spot on. That doesn't mean you can steal one of the lines from the movie and duplicate that line, but you can take a fresh line that actor has never done before, and you can say it in that person's voice
And act in that person's
and
voice.
act in it.
Act
So
as that person. Yeah.
a couple of things an agent might look for on your resume that might get you in either the door or in some of these workshops is improv training.
Mm-hmm.
It has become so important and something that they look for, and it can put you above other people who don't have this improv training, and you can get improv training in any city in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here in LA, there's the biggies, you know, there's Second City, or there's the Groundlings, and there's all kinds of offshoots of any of these
Mm-hmm.
that you can take improv from. And it's a certain set of skills, and it's formula, and you learn it, and it helps you in auditions where they have the keyword, make it your own. Make it your own means you can add words that aren't in the script and be funny and fluff it up.
Pardon me.
If it doesn't say make it your own, you stick to the script. Except in animation, you add sounds, which is a lot of what I teach. Because people may do a very nice audition, but they do the same audition that 90 other people do.
Mm.
And it's those 10 people that do those little extra things.
Yeah, the surprises.
Yeah. Like if the line is, I've got a surprise for you, and it's a little kid, I've got a surprise for you, they're going to get a bunch of auditions that sound just like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to get some auditions that look at the stage direction before and after that says, she's running in and talking at her dad who's across the room, and she's laughing. And that
Right.
sounds like, I've got a surprise for you, which is a
Right.
lot different than, I've got a surprise for you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So being able to know how to read a script, read the stage direction, and incorporate that and make your audition stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And
they
then-
always give you though. They give you like when you are auditioning, how much of the script are you getting? Are you getting like a page? Are you getting a scene? Or what
That
do you
is
get to work
a great question. All of the above. Usually, just your lines with maybe the attitude, or with sarcasm, or
Yeah.
sad. And so it's up to the actor who has taken acting classes and knows what scene study is and knows how to come up with a character and a backstory, and to say, why am I saying this?
Mm.
You know, you may have to make it up. It's usually there. It's usually pretty clear. So sometimes they don't give you anything. Sometimes, if it's a video game, we never get the script.
Oh yeah.
Not even until you get to the
it's
session.
under lock and key, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's extremely secretive.
That's
Yeah.
why you have to really love your director, because they set it up for you.
Mm-hmm.
But for some shows, they will give you a scene, which is awesome because you actually know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But then a lot of actors don't read the scene. They're like, blah, 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 my line, blah, 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 my line, blah, 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 my line. And they may not say blah, blah. They say that other BS
Well, some
word.
of them do, but I've been known to do that
BS,
myself.
BS, my
Yeah,
line.
yeah.
BS, BS.
Uh-huh.
Does it help to sometimes read the line that's feeding yours, at least in your head, so you?
Absolutely. I would say sometimes I read it out loud, but then you, in your editing, you go and clip it out.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of tricks to springboarding off the previous line. For instance, if somebody said, "What are you wearing in the party tonight?" And my line was, "The red dress." A trick is to steal that word from the line just before yours. "Oh, the party? I'm wearing the red dress." See how I stole the word "the party"? That wasn't in my line.
Mm.
But it's there, and it's for everyone to see.
Mm-hmm.
And you can leave that in your line, and it lets the director know, the casting director, that you've done your homework. You know what's going on, and it livens up your line. and it gives you some place to go. So
Yeah.
there's just so much to take into account. So it's a simple question. How do you excel and get the VO jobs?
Yeah, well, I mean,
There's
just
a-
generally.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Generally, you make a tape, you get an agent, you audition and book.
Boom, boom, boom.
Right.
It's that
And
easy.
read the book.
Yeah.
Practice, practice, practice.
Well, that's practice is always. You've got to be constantly learning and constantly practicing.
And practicing how to do the edits too, and being good at knocking it out and not being afraid of it. Because honestly, you guys, if I can edit my own auditions, anybody can do this. Not as well as these guys, but good
Well,
enough to get by.
Coming on the show and asking questions is another great way to do it. Some
Yeah.
people
Yes.
are much better at doing that. We see you guys in this chat every week. Some of you literally every week.
Every week.
And you're absolutely students of everybody that comes on this show, like Debbie. And you have a leg up because you're learning this stuff. You may have to ask the same question twice.
Yep.
Because, you don't remember everything. But if you're asking the question, you have a better chance.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we have a pile of questions, right, Jeff?
That's right.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to get to those questions. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Debi Derryberry and your questions right after this.
This is the Latin lover narrator from Jane the Virgin, Anthony Mendez, and you're enjoying Dan and George on The Voiceover Body Shop.
VoiceOverEssentials.com has the ultimate answer for mic safety. Look, your mic is the most valuable part of your audio chain, so protect it from boom stand disaster. It's the ABS, the Adjustable Boom Stop. It's simple, ingenious, and infinitely adjustable. The padded non-slip pouch fits almost any size boom arm. It has a unique double-loop webbing system for an unlimited angle of the downstrap. It works with tripod and solid round bases. A strong articulated strap keeps your boom where you want it without weights, sandbags, or knuckle-busting tightening of the boom clutch. The light gray webbing lets you mark and repeat stand settings for just the right spot for you or anyone else who uses your microphone, saving time and guesswork. This is the simple solution that simply works. You'll kick yourself for not having thought of it. Lock it in place with our ABS, the Adjustable Boom Stop. Get it now at VoiceOverEssentials.com.
Okay.
You're on.
Hey, everybody. Well, hey, by the way, if you hear something wrong with the show, let us know because we do pay attention to the quality, so it's important to us. Anyway, George the Tech here to tell you about our sponsor, Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect, and a lot of other tools that are used in big-time productions every single day to remotely record talent all over the world and integrate that into the production process. Because really why Source Connect is still so incredibly popular is that it works in the production's workflow seamlessly. That's one key reason they love it. When they record that voice talent into Pro Tools, which most of the producers are going to be using, that audio is already in the production, and now the client, who's almost always going to be listening to that session, gets to hear you in context, in the edit. They get to hear you with the music, everything else. And very quickly, the client can hear the way you will sound in the finished product. They get instant sort of approval, as it were, of how the audio is going to sound. And this is why, and just one of many reasons why it's so successful and why you should probably be familiar with it. Start learning how it works. You can get a free demo. Head over to source-elements.com and just get familiar. They have so much great learning content over there as well. They've really upped the training and content to become more familiar with it. So anyway, thank you, Source Elements, Source Connect. Everybody check it out. And let's get back to more great questions with Debi Derryberry right after this.
Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence, the 17th, with the ACX Masterclass. We're coming up on a full decade, just a few months shy of the training that we've been offering on how to make ACX a place where you can build a business as an audiobook narrator. And all this week and all next week, we're celebrating with a series of free video training sessions on how to set up your business, what it takes to be an audiobook narrator, what you can expect in terms of the equipment and the production process and working with rights holders, the authors and publishers who have books that they want you to read, just go to acxmasterclass.com and you'll get all the details. There'll be a link right there for you to see the videos. And we'd love to be part of the reason that you end up creating an audiobook narration production practice, that you become an audiobook narrator. Join us. Absolutely free, great information, acxmasterclass.com. That's acxmasterclass.com.
This is Bill Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
Rewarding.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose any actor always hopes for that one job that people know you by, and that, of course, would be Jimmy Neutron.
There's no audio according to the audience.
Oh, you guys can't hear this. Okay, hold on.
Just a second.
We're gonna
Stand
fix it.
by. One,
One
two,
second.
three. 1, 2, 3.
1 second.
Hello, are you hearing it?
1 second.
Is it going over?
Can you guys hear me?
No, it's working. Okay.
It's
Somebody else
back.
doesn't know what they're doing.
It's back.
Because we do.
Says I hear you now.
Okay.
Okay.
Pick that up. So,
So,
Pick up and action.
what do you mean by rewarding? Is it financially or emotionally? But said this before, I'm just going to say it again. That you all, as an actor, you always hope for that one job that launches you, that people know you by. And for me, that is Jimmy Neutron. Because it seems like everybody around the world seems to know who Jimmy Neutron is. So that would be that answer. But I just forgot about Little Dogs on the Prairie until you said that. Wow, that brought back memories.
yeah, that was a question. That was just to reiterate, because we lost some audio. That was a question from Catherine Jade Jarvie. And
Hi, Catherine. Thanks for watching
She'd
that.
mentioned that Little Dogs on the Prairie.
Yeah.
What's the decade for that one?
Oh, I gotta say
May I
it was
ask?
the 90s? Around the early 2000s?
Yeah.
No, in the 90s.
Before time began.
That's right. We didn't have cell phones then.
Yeah.
And it came out on VHS.
Ooh.
OMG.
Sarah Switek asks, how many takes should you do in an animation audition? I mean, this question always comes up. Should I do 1? Should I do 2? Should I do 5? And then how do you differentiate?
It's a really, really good question, and I struggle with that sometimes too. I do 1 take if I'm giving 1 character. If they say, give me 2 takes and you can come up with another character, then you do a second character. I think if you're going to do just a similar take, then you're wasting everybody's time. Just do 1 take, unless you have a different accent, a totally different attitude, age, mouth, speech impediment, unless it's a real different character. Just 1.
And do they ever say we want 2 takes? Does that ever happen?
Not usually in an animation audition.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will say they want numerous takes, but they'll give you the parameters for it.
Gotcha.
You know, they
It's
want
not
it
like an
in
ABC.
America.
Just do it 3 different ways. They don't say that, really. They give you, like, direction.
I mean, I imagine that it's out there, and it does
Yeah.
happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Just for the most part, you figure a casting director has probably 5 parts to cast for a show.
Yeah.
You hear this all the time. There's 20 agents out there. How many auditions are they going to get? They're going to get through 5 seconds of your audition. So that's why when I coach people, I always work on the first line more than anything else. Because really, that's all they're going to hear, honestly.
Yeah,
Unless it's really stellar, then they might hear you to the end. If I'm giving 2 takes and they're both brilliant, I will slate Debi Derryberry 2 takes, as opposed to Debi Derryberry take 1. Yeah, they'll know the second take's coming, but I'd rather say 2 takes. It's just my little trick. Because I think they know coming from me it's going to be a different take, a different character. But yeah, you just don't want to bombard these poor casting directors. Poor things. Their ears turn to jelly after a while.
Every day. Day after day, except when they're actually casting something.
Well, our very own Jeff Holman right here in
yeah.
the studio, you mentioned earlier that you had to work sitting down a lot, but do you normally work standing up? Is
For
that your-
animation, I always work standing up if I can. As I said, I had this little back injury, so I had to sit for a lot of my auditions, and it was difficult for me because so many of my jobs are, animation requires all this energy to get it out, the sound out. I have this one job, I just bark, and it's hard to bark sitting down. And I get really hot and flustered. So that's a good thing about having a home booth. You can take your clothes off, work in your cami and your
Right.
your gym top.
Yeah.
If it's a not so demanding animation job, I will sit. But I think for the most part, I find that I get that exuberance and that bigger sound if I can stand up.
Well, physicality is a really important part of doing animation voices, or any acting for that matter, on mic. I think some people tend to forget that they're acting and they just think they have to talk loud to the mic, and because George and I get
1930s
stuff
style.
all the time. It's like I got to be loud, but if you're physical, and with what you're doing, maybe even acting it out, that also adds to the expression of what you're doing.
It really does, Dan. And that's another reason why when and if you build your booth, know what you're building for and accommodate it. Because you want to be able to at least get this big in your booth for animation. Because, and you want to do a lot of mic training with your mic. Because you need to know where it is. I mean, I still whack my mic, and then my take will be ruined because I've been physical. And
We all do.
Yeah.
whack a mic.
This one's from Grace. You want to
Grace
get
Newton,
Grace's?
yeah, she's asking, what's the difference between doing animation acting and then doing the voice acting for gaming?
Nothing. Nothing at all. It's all digging deep and being able to jump from one emotion to the next and being able to have it be organic. I think for me the biggest difference is that usually in animation I get the script, so I get to know what's happening. But in video games, you don't get a script and you have to rely solely on your director to set up the scene for you. I do this one video game that I've been doing for a long time called Guild Wars 2. I do the voice of Timey. And there's, how each video game has their own world and the names of their dragons and the names of their cities. And they're all made up and they're very difficult to say and learn. And so the director will... I should say the writer for that section, because of course in video games there's writers for each section, each expansion, each chapter. They will give you the setup. And so I always have a piece of paper. I always tell my students, have a piece of paper and a pencil. Not digital. Do not depend on digital when you're doing an animation or video game session because it takes a little extra time and there's no time to waste. So if you're going to take up their valuable time by just saying, oh, hold on, it's not working, my pencil, my digital pencil's out of battery. Just have a pencil and a paper. And I write down the whole setup. And I write down the names. And I write down the people who are telling me this. And so for video games, you have to be able to process all that pretty quickly and to depend on your director to say what's just happening in this scene. And then I use my acting chops and I incorporate all of that and I give them a few different takes. And in animation, you should have done your homework. You read the script. Sometimes they even give you access to the storyboard. So you should do your homework and know what's going on. It moves even quicker in animation because the director doesn't have to lay it out for you so hard. That's why I found the biggest variation.
Mm-hmm. How about the length of the sessions? Are they the same length of session?
For me, if you're doing a knit cartoon, say a 22-minute, then they record you all separate now. So
Yeah.
my sessions will be anywhere from 15 minutes to maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes for that session. But
So it's not. They don't look at it like, well, we got you. You're going to be with us for 2 hours, whether you're done or not.
well, the contract gives you 4 hours.
4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't take that long because you go from your line to the next line. Video games, they can book you for an 8-hour day. It's usually a 4-hour session. They usually use all 4 hours because there's all this time taken with setup, and they have to break you every hour, and they have a little more juggling to do because they have to save the screaming for the end. In video games, there's always the screaming. And that
There's
it
always
takes
the
a while.
screaming.
And then there's always the library. With your character, there's always the library of all the sounds that this character is going to do. And then they'll, lay it out for you. And that takes time to do.
Right. Once again, we're talking with Debi Derryberry. We've still got time for a few more questions here, so let's
got
keep moving
6
on
in
here.
the queue.
Yeah, Eddie Fourier, who has a lot of kids, has a question.
He wanted to be here. I know this for a fact, and he's
Oh,
just disappointed he couldn't
Eddie.
be here. But he says, I'm a huge fan, and how often do you coach child actors, kids?
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go to my website or go to calendly.com and just schedule a session. I really would love for everybody, before they coach with me, to read my book, Voiceover 101, How to Succeed as a Voice Actor, because then you'll know my language.
Good idea.
But I do coach kids and adults.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that sometimes if the kid is already an old hat at VO, although I charge by the hour, I will charge by the half hour if that audition only takes a half hour. I have a lot of kids all over the world who coach with me, and they're all set to go. They just need that little help to get from reading it plain to reading it like the script wants it. And it goes pretty quickly.
Are they looking for a lot of kids? Because a lot of the cartoons that I used to watch, when I used to watch cartoons with somebody, it was adult actors usually playing kids. Are they starting to use more children in these types of productions?
It's a good mixture, Dan. I would say that companies like Disney Junior, they will hire kids more often than they ever have. However, directors who have directed kids and know that there are adults who can do it, and maybe it's easier for that director to work with adults. If they can hire an adult, they will. But I will say there's so much work out there for kids.
Good to know.
Because they want to carry that voice season by season, year after year after year. And
Well,
have
if you're
that
looking at year after
consistency.
year, well, I know they do a lot of recasting at Disney, so
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
recast that Disney voice. But,
Gotcha. Yeah.
for something that's an Adult Swim, they'd much rather, well, they need an adult because there's foul
adult.
language, even if it's
depraved.
a kid. But if it goes on for many seasons,
Yeah.
you're better off, I think, getting an adult who can sound like a kid who's not going to enter puberty.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Aaron S. on YouTube says, "Do you help with animation demos? Like, do you coach someone through a demo?"
I do. Sometimes I take people from nothing to a full demo. Yeah, I help people with demos. My schedule's kind of full, but there is always room on Calendly, and it's not something that we do in one session. It
Yeah.
depends on where you are as an actor. You can contact me if you want on that, but it's a many-stepped process to get an animation demo made.
And second part, this is a quicker answer, I'm sure. Is it normal to slate for animation demos? For the actor to slate?
For an animation demo, no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Animation audition. If I
Auditions.
said demo, sorry.
Yeah, slating's an interesting one. I mean, it's like some people say, no, don't slate anymore.
Yes, I slate for animation auditions. But if I know that they're looking for a kid and they know who I am, sometimes I'll slate afterwards just because I want to say, ha ha, fooled you.
Fooled ya.
I fooled you. But yeah, we slate for animation auditions unless specifically told not to.
All righty. Let's see here. Terry Briscoe asks, "Thank you so much for being here, Debbie." Because
You're welcome, Terry Briscoe.
Especially now.
yeah, and Terry's always here, so we're glad he's always here too. Are there any types of characters that you won't do, like drug addicts or political dictators or something like that?
It certainly depends. There are some auditions that I just don't do because I don't stand a chance in hell of booking it. If I know who else is going to be auditioning for that, they'll send me these auditions for gravelly, deep British actors with gravitas. I could do that if I had to. But there's so many other people who would do it better that if I have a whole slew of auditions to do, I might select that one last. I won't do gun commercials, and I won't do commercials for people who I hate politically, and you all know who that is. Pretty much, I think there's only been one job that I've left because I was very unhappy with the way it was going, and hardly any auditions I haven't done. I think they're all pretty, I don't know, unsighted.
And not too salacious.
Yeah. No, there's not really. I'll try anything. I mean, and if they book me for the kid and they get you for 3 roles anyway in the SAG contract, it's good to be able to have a lot of roles in your wheelhouse. Yes, I can do the old grandma, and yes, I could do that gravitas British woman. You know, it's not. The dog's growling. I can do the dog.
So can the dog.
Speaking of
Sorry,
gravitas.
Mishka. I do it for a living. I'm a professional.
This one's from Craig Davis on YouTube. Talking character development, how do you know a character voice is good to go before an audition? I guess, how do you practice it? How do you feel confident in your...
I would say if you can fall into that character and live it for an hour a day until everybody in your house wants you to get out and is angry with you, we don't want to hear it anymore. So falling into that character is a really great way of knowing when you're ready. But I would say you need to be able to span the gamut of emotions with that character and be in that same voice for laughing, crying, anger, love, and not leave character. And it's hard. Sing.
Oh, that's a good
Absolutely.
one.
Catherine Jade Jarvie asks, let's see, is there a genre of animation or gaming that you like doing more than another?
No. I like it all. I love to work. I love my job. And I like it all. So I wish. I'm not keen on having to scream the whole time. But, and I think when a show is, every line is frenetic and at the top of the range where it's like migraine inducing, that can be difficult.
Yeah.
But I just like voiceover work. I like auditioning. You have to like to audition. If you don't like auditioning and aren't good at it, get good at it and get to where you like it, because that's, I'd say, 90% of my job. That's what I do. I just audition and edit mostly.
Yeah, have you been doing much commercial work? I mean, aside from all the animation stuff that you've been doing?
No, I audition a lot for commercials, but most of my work is in animation. And if I do book commercials, my successful ones have been animated commercials.
Of which there are many.
Yeah.
A couple more we can squeeze in real quick if we're fast. Julie Ayotte, or Ayotte. Do you do an audition for a product political part you don't agree with? And do you sell your soul? You kind of covered that.
Yeah,
you said there's
we
going to be
covered that one.
candidates you will not be working for.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's in anything.
Right.
You know, you what's the right way? I'm just losing all my words. But you want to gravitate towards that you agree with and makes you feel good, and you can make
You're
a
not gonna
better
do
world from it.
Vaping commercials.
And be authentic.
Probably not.
Be
Exactly.
authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wishbone asks, Wishbone, is
With
that
a zero for the
That's
O.
a friend of mine.
Oh, Wishbone
Okay.
Zero. Okay.
Jacob's friend Wishbone.
Okay.
Hey, Jacob's friend.
Yeah. What inspired you guys to get into voice acting and how do you make it into a career? Well, how many hours you got there,
that's a good one to
Wishbone
slip it in the
Zero?
end.
You got to make a choice. But if you love acting, I would say try everything and see where you start booking.
Right.
You know, I do on-camera stuff. I do theatrical. I do commercial on camera, and I do commercial voiceover. But where I book is, I think, where I should be, because the goal is to make a living doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say not to be afraid of your pigeonhole and embrace it. And, you know, kind of don't beat yourself up that you just sound that one way. I've had students that cannot get out of their sound, and they have this very specific, unique, weird sound. Weird, I mean that in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
different.
that's what they book.
Right.
And yeah, it's always worth it to try and get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But don't be embarrassed or afraid to embrace what God gave you.
Yeah, you might end up being the voice of Marge Simpson.
Yep.
Talk about a unique sound. And her sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah.
A little adjustment with that. But yeah.
We got two more. I don't know how
We
much
got time
time
for
do we
two
have? Can we
questions.
get two more?
Yeah.
So this one's from Patricia Andrea. How do you organize to remember the voices of characters? So I guess this is if you have multiple roles in one thing. Is this a mental thing, or is it just
I don't know if she's
automatic?
talking about like an episode of a cartoon where I do a lot of voices, or
Yeah.
where I have a lot of voices, characters that live in my wheelhouse. When people make their demos, they usually put their strongest characters on their animation demos. And those, it's like learning a song. You know, you listen to the Beatles album or your favorite album, and you know what song that comes next.
Absolutely.
And your brain goes there. Well, when you hear your animation demo, I want you to memorize your animation demo, and so that if the audition comes up, that it's for the old lady. You have the old lady on your demo, and you know the words that go with it. Well, those few words are what boots you into her voice. And the same with any character. So hopefully you'll be able to use that as your springboard to launch right into that character and remain in that character.
Mm-hmm.
If you come to a job, I did one the other day, and they said, it's a little boy, you're going in to read a little boy. And it was a gig. So I went in and I got behind the mic, and I'm ready to read this part as a little boy. And they said, oh, by the way, it's British. Okay. So I melded my British with my little boy voice. And then they said, oh, but the boy's 100 years old.
Okay.
So it took me a minute, but
Wow.
you learn how to layer these things, like if this was my teenage voice. This is the one I always go back to. Okay, so here's my normal teenage voice. But then she say, no, she has braces. Okay, so this teenage voice has braces. Great. But wait, she's from the South. Okay, so I had this teenage voice with braces from the South. So I've just layered 3 things to create a different character. And you can do that with any age, speech impediment, accent, attitude, voice placement. But you have to be able to grab hold of that character you create and live in it, like I said.
Right. Well, Debbie, if someone wants to get a hold of you
Mhm.
and perhaps study with you,
Yes.
how would they do so?
You can go to my website, DebiDerryberry.com.
Make sure you spell it right.
DEBI, Derryberry.com. You can contact me there, and there's a lot of tabs on that website. And you can also book with me at calendly.com/Debi Derryberry. Happy to answer your questions on my website if I can. And Yeah.
Read the book first, though.
Yeah, read the book.
Yeah.
She said it. Read the book first.
Yeah, it's not too expensive, and really, it's got everything I know. I poured it in here for you
And
guys.
it's the second edition. So
For you guys. And I also have the virtual class that goes with this. It's 3 1-hour segments, and you can get them all at once, or you can get them one at a time as your budget affords. But hopefully it will, give you an insight into how I think it works in the voiceover business, just from my viewpoint,
great. Well, thanks for being with us, and
Thank you for
we
having
really
me,
appreciate.
Dan.
That's always a pleasure having you on. Of course, we didn't
Thank
get to
you.
play ukulele
Thanks for
this time.
coming
but-
in.
I know I was going to play my new song. Go to my YouTube channel and play I'm a Great Recycler for your kids.
Awesome.
Thanks
That's
for
your
having me, you
homework.
guys.
Alrighty. All right, George and I will be right back to wrap things up and rack it up for Tech Talk right after these.
You're still watching VOBS?
In these modern times, every business needs a website. When you need a website for your voice acting business, there's only one place to go. Like the name says, voiceactorwebsites.com. Their experience in this niche webmaster market gives them the ability to quickly and easily get you from concept to live online in a much shorter time. When you contact voiceactorwebsites.com, their team of experts and designers really get to know you and what your needs are. They work with you to highlight what you do. Then they create an easily navigable website for your potential clients to get the big picture of who you are and how your voice is the one for them. Plus, VoiceActorWebsites.com has other great resources, like their practice script library and other resources to help your voiceover career flourish. Don't try it yourself. Go with the pros. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
Yeah, hi, this is Carlos Alazraqui, the voice of Rocco, and you're watching VoiceOver Body Shop.
And now we're back. It's always great having Debbie on the show because she is the business. She really is the business, and that's
Absolutely.
And that's why we have her on. Let's see. Next week on the show we have Tech Talk number 95, which we're about to do. So you guys watching live, hang out and watch the show live, and you can ask your questions. And then the week after that, Jason Lanier White has promised he will be here on January 23rd. Or February 23rd.
Is that what it is? February 23rd? We're going to chain him to the door just in case.
Exactly. No, it's February 6th, I think.
February 6th? Okay.
Yeah, we'll check the calendar. Might be on a Wednesday, in which case he's going to show up on the wrong day. Who are our donors of the week?
Yeah, we got a few donors. Grace Newton.
Robert Leadham.
Stephen Chandler.
Casey Clack.
Jonathan Grant.
Tom Pinto. Hey, Tom.
Greg Thomas.
A Dr. Voice.
Antland Productions.
Martha Kahn.
949 Designs.
Christopher Epperson.
Sarah Borges.
Philip Sapir.
Brian Page.
Patty Gibbons.
Rob Ryder.
Shauna Pentington Baird.
Don Griffith.
Trey Mosley.
Dinah Birdsall.
And Sandra Manwiller.
Thank you all.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you donating to the show. It makes it technologically perfect. At least allows us to try to make it perfect.
We give it our all.
Yes.
We have a VOBS thing. A George the Tech webinar coming up. It was supposed to be tomorrow. It got pushed a week because of well, we don't need to get into that, but it's got pushed a week. But we're going to have Michael Pearson Adams from Waves Audio have an Ask Me Anything. It's totally free. So just go to georgethe.tech/webinars and sign up to be there. We're taking 100 seats, 60 are booked. Again, it's free, but we want to make sure everybody can ask at least one question. So
excellent.
Come on in and ask them anything you want to know about this audio processing stuff.
Good. All righty. And you can join our mailing list too. Just go to our website and click on join our mailing list. Makes it real easy. We need to thank our sponsors too, like Harlan Hogan's VoiceOver Essentials,
VoiceOver Extra,
Source Elements,
VOHeroes.com,
VoiceActorWebsites.com, and World Voices, the Industry Association of Freelance Voice Talent. Go join today. We need you there. And we have lots of great benefits for you there. Anyway, we're going to re-rack it for Tech Talk here. And so if you got a question for us, throw it in the chat room. We're going to have a lot of great questions tonight, and we've got lots of good stuff to cover. So
before we go,
yes,
we got to thank our very special in-studio.
Oh, well, we have to thank Jeff Holman for being here, for doing our chat room monitoring, and of course, Sue Merlino for putting up with us.
We gave it to her tonight.
We did.
Hey, here's a new camera.
Yeah, try this. Anyway,
she handled it. Thank you, Sue.
You know, this is a difficult business, which is why we bring on people who really know how to do it, like Debi Derryberry. And of course, we like to bring you all the good technical stuff because we've decided that if it sounds good,
it is good.
I'm Dan Leonard,
and I'm George Whittam,
and this is VoiceOver
Body Shop,
or VOBS. Take care, everybody.
The only time I took the headphones off were during the breaks, because the breaks are about 10 dB hotter than the mics.
Yeah.
It was loud. Yeah, StreamYard is amazing, but it really, really does need a kind of like an auto leveler so that the spots can be auto leveled down or the mics can be auto, because it's so hard to mix. I mean, how long have we been doing this? It's very hard to get them.
One of the cameras has the tie into the audio, so when I removed the cameras during the spots, it removed all
it cut the audio, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was.
StreamYard and multicam is still not super ideal.
So that was like, I still don't know which one it is because it's too hard to
So this camera looks like it's
just a little bit off. You can pull one of the front leg there.
Pull one of them legs and
there you go.
Perfect. That looks good.
Now you're good.
Still too low, but
that's okay.
Now we're level.
Yeah. And that's all that matters. All right. You guys are all ready for some tech talk? Because we got some great stuff. Of course, I haven't seen what you've come up with tonight. Because
I haven't either.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I'm just kidding. I came up with a couple of things. Of course, Apple has a new computer, so I have to talk about
Apple has a new computer?
Of course they do.
Well, guess what? All right. Are we ready to do some tech talking here?
Is he coming back in?
I believe he'll be back in a second. He can walk in.
Okay.
10, 10, 10.
10.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. I'll be switching back and forth too.
Okay, that's fine.
In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, it's time for VoiceOver Body Shop Tech Talk. Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
Tech Talk.
I forgot to echo.
Oh,
Tech Talk.
You know, we do it every other week. You're going to forget.
It's disorienting being in the same place at the same time sometimes.
I know. You got to study your lines.
Even though that was the norm, right?
Exactly. Well, we're here to help you with your home voiceover studio, and we've got lots of great stuff that George is going to talk about, a new Mac Mini or something like that. And so stay tuned. Tech Talk coming up right now. We want your questions on VoiceOver Body Shop. There go my glasses.
Tech Talk. Brought to you by VoiceOverEssentials.com, the home of Harlan Hogan's signature products. Source Elements, the makers of Source Connect. VoiceOver Heroes, become a hero to your clients with award-winning voiceover training. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your voice actor website doesn't have to be a pain in the butt. VoiceOver Extra, your daily resource for voiceover success. and World Voices, the industry association of freelance voice talent. And now, here's your hosts, Dan and George.
Well, hello there. I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VOBS. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Tech Talk.
Jeff, Tech Talk.
Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Anyway, so if you guys only knew how much fun we have doing this show.
Oh, man.
You know,
we do. We do. And each time we do a different set, which just makes it even more exciting.
I know. It's amazing. You know, we've been doing it in March, which is not that far away.
Nope.
It will have been 12 years since we started doing this show.
Yeah.
12 years.
I can't
You would think that we would have run out of stuff.
No.
No, because technology moves on.
Thankfully,
and rolls on.
Everybody keeps making new stuff.
Exactly.
And people keep buying them, even though they don't need them.
Right.
And then we get to tell them how to use them.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, when you think about it, trying to keep up to date with the latest technology or the latest dogs. Thank you. Trying to keep up with the latest technology requires people who are constantly looking at this stuff.
Yeah.
And you and I are like, I mean, you're a total geek when it comes to going on the internet. Well, you got to try this piece of equipment. You got to. I'm a little bit more keep it simple,
traditional.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
I'm old school.
You could say traditional
Yeah.
or old school.
Yeah, and so I'm usually like, yeah, this microphone might be good. That might be, here's. But if something
once in a while though, you get a surprise.
If something comes along,
you get a mic once in a while, and you're
like this one. I like this mic. Would it be the difference between me booking a job and not?
No.
No, it still goes on. What's going on in your head? But you still have to know how to record competently. You do not have to be a recording engineer, but you do have to learn some basics.
You have to know whistle.
What it's supposed to sound like.
You have to know that.
Yeah.
That is so incredibly important.
And the fact of the matter is nobody seems to know, especially a lot of agents that don't know what it's supposed to sound like.
That takes practice.
Of course, when I talk to people and they say, well, what do you mean by what it's supposed to sound like? Or is it broadcast quality? It means it doesn't sound bad.
There's nothing distracting.
There's nothing that's distracting.
The mouth noises aren't so mouth noisy that they try to distract the listener. The breaths aren't so gaspy that nothing is distracting, out of the ordinary, or in any way distorting your voice.
Exactly. Or there's no background noise, or there's no reflection. All those sorts of things. If you want to learn how to do this right, or have somebody set up your studio properly, look, there's only two places you can go. And generally when you go to one, the other one's going to hear about it anyway, one way or another. If you want to work with us, it's real easy. Just go to our websites. Like if you want to work with George, you go to
GeorgeThe.tech.
There it is.
We've got a lot of resources on there, from the sound check all the way up to design your dream studio, to making an audio processing preset so that your auditions are a little bit more polished, or just troubleshooting all your gear and figuring out why that one mic buzzes all the time. So that's what we do over at GeorgeThe.tech. Go check it out and take a look and see what we have to offer, as well as Dan over at
homevoiceoverstudio.com. Yeah, go on over there. I've been getting a lot of people throwing their specimens in the specimen collection.
It's the most valuable thing
it is
you can get is feedback on that.
For $25. And ask anybody that's done that with me, and it's like, wow, you gave me a whole lot more than $25 worth. Because I can listen to an audio, and George can listen to it within a very short period of time of listening and looking at various different graphic representations of your audio. We can determine whether it's up to snuff or if it needs some little adjustment is needed in there.
Right.
So go on over to homevoiceoverstudio.com and check that out. All righty. It's time to get to George's weekly or twice a month tech update.
Tech update.
Take it away.
Yeah, we'll get the Apple stuff out of the way. Apple, I was going to say quietly announced. They don't do anything quietly.
No.
But they didn't schedule this. They didn't promote that they were going to announce it. They didn't have a press conference. They just dropped a video on us last
guys,
week.
Jeez.
And they dropped a video and said, by the way, we have new M2 Mac Minis and MacBook Pros.
I just bought a Mac Mini.
Yeah, we all just bought new Macs, right?
Jeez.
So this is obviously the next iteration or generation of the silicon chip processor, the M2. And now they're offering it in the Mac Mini, which many thought this was going to happen in the fall, but because of COVID and supply chain, all this crap, they had to delay it, right? So now it comes out. And what you're getting now is a $599 Mac Mini. It's actually less than the last Mac Mini M1.
Really?
Amazingly, they dropped the price.
You could literally trade one in and get more computer back.
Kind of. I mean, like, it's kind of nuts. Like, if you've got that desktop PC or that gaming laptop that makes tons of fan noise and drives you crazy, this is a golden opportunity to step into an Apple computer. I sound like a sales guy here. I know. I'm sorry, but it $599. It's a base model, but you got to keep in mind what is a base model Apple computer is like a mid to upper mid tier PC, right? They just don't even start at. There's no low end anymore,
right?
And that's at $599. It'll do everything a voice actor would need
and more.
But then that's just the base model. Then they have the M2 Pro and the M2 Max, and this is where they start just adding more everything, right? Who is that for? It's for people that really do know they're going to be doing a lot more video production. They want to run 4K displays, because you can do that on the Mac Mini Pro. It has more everything. You can put more memory in it, all kinds of stuff. I personally think that the sweet spot would be the Mac Mini M2 Pro base model. I think that's a $1299 computer. So if you were getting ready to spend that kind of money, that's where I would put my money, because that's going to make you future-proofed another 3 or 4 years longer than maybe the base model. And I'm saying that not even really knowing what's going to happen in the future, but
they'll come up with something new for sure. Right?
They say that like if you pay more up front, the computer has longer life. I guess that's kind of true. The thing is, the low-end Mac Mini, the performance is so bonkers.
Right.
It is so fast.
And they last for 5 or 6 years.
And so five. I mean, I have my 2011 Mac Mini still running as like a server and just, a video server. I can watch movies on my TV that I made when I was a kid, right? They're on that hard drive. So they do last. So that's new from Apple. You're probably wondering if you're really looking at spending big money, you're probably thinking, well, what about that Mac Studio?
What about that Mac Studio?
It's basically a Mac Mini that it has a double stack. And the top part is basically fans. Well, the fans are what let you eke out that last bit of horsepower over a longer period of time, right? That lets you export video for longer periods of time. It lets you do photogrammetry and things like that at maximum performance, which is obviously not what we're doing, by the way. And the other problem is those fans come at a cost, and that is noise. I've seen many little people saying the Apple Studio computer, there's a whistle, like a kind of a whiny whistle sound from those fans, so you can't put it in the booth. So the Mac Mini, again, very quiet cooling and great performance. Dan and I both use the Mini M1s
for years. The M1s we just bought last year, but
yeah, well, we've had Minis for years, right? But we've had the Mini. We both got the 2020 Mini, and it's been very good experience. Going into software, Bertom denoiser, which you guys maybe you've heard me talk about on the show or not. It's a noise reduction plugin, and they've always had this freemium version, or what do you call it? Honorware. It's free, but you can kick me some money if you like, right? Shareware, maybe that's what we would call it, right? So a long time ago when I discovered it, I thought it was so cool. I kicked the guy $42, right? He said, hey, by the way, here's a license to the new Pro version. I'm just giving it to you because you're one of the top donors.
Okay.
At $42. I'm like, how's this guy make a living? But anyway, he released a Pro version. Do you need the Pro version? I don't know. I just installed it today. I didn't have much time to play with it. It had 5 more fader things to play around with, so it definitely adds complexity. But it also supposedly has this adaptive mode, which could actually be worth the $25 that he's charging for it. So you can demo it. You don't have to buy it, but give it a try and see if the auto mode is kind of magical for removing some of the background noise in your studio and see what you think.
Yeah.
I think
the thing about
cool.
background noise.
Yeah.
There are some things you have to work very hard to remove them. And somehow it's going to leave some residue of something.
Yeah.
So if you've got the real key to using a lot of these denoising products is to get your noise floor at least down to -60 if you can. So you make these really great pieces of software transparent.
Yeah, the lower your noise to begin with is, the far better these tools can do. The better they can do their job, and the better they can do the job without creating any distractions. I guess without being noticed. I guess that's the thing.
It's transparent.
Transparent.
That's
it's
the
not
word I was
distracting the listener. It's one of those things, like a good tool is great when you turn it off and you miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was on, you didn't know.
Exactly.
Like if it's on, you're going, okay, that's good. I can't tell it's processing, but it sounds fine. I like it. And then you go, well, let me just hit bypass. And then you go, ooh, it's kind of rumbly in here now. I hear lots of, what's the air? That's a good tool. It just, when it's on, you don't even know it. When it's off, it's like, oh, I'm missing something. Anyway, Bertom does that really well. I like that one.
Is that at Bertom.com?
Bertom, the actual website is bertomaudio.com.
Okay.
Bertom. I think it's like
B-E-R-T-O-M.
two names slammed together.
Yeah.
His name's Tom.
Or Bert and
Exactly. Now, another one is, and this one I'll just throw up on the screen because this is an interesting company. Can you throw that on, actually, Sue? It's easier. There we go. There's the Bertom tab. Let me go ahead and share this tab instead. There we go. Hey, that's cool. I like that they added that little button.
Yeah, cool.
This is a company called Angry Audio, and they definitely market to the radio broadcaster kind of segment, right? But they make problem solvers, and I love problem solving things, right? They make the audio gizmo, and it doesn't look like much, and you're thinking, why does it have network connections on it?
I was going to say, why does it look like just a router?
Right. What it actually is just a very compact and simple line in, line out audio interface.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for that thing which just takes the audio from your mixer or your preamp or whatever and just injects it into the computer, no, nothing else, it does that. And it does it without noise because it has galvanically isolated everything. So everything inside the unit has electrical isolation. So you're not going to get hum or whining sounds from the computer.
Right.
You're looking at those RJ45 connectors. That has become a radio broadcast standardization now, where they connect things this way.
Because it's because it'll use telco, and that's
they
how
have
get
those
into the
cables
board.
already.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Right.
So they do have like these little breakout cables that give you XLR and stuff. Anyway, it's kind of cool. But he also is doing this other project, which very few of you need, but those that need it will go, oh, thank you. And that is let's see if I can find it. It is in the there it is, the Bluetooth gadget. So he made what I believe really is the only really like pro quality Bluetooth audio adapter.
Okay.
Right. So this not only is a very high quality Bluetooth playback, so like playing music from your phone and having it come into your system, stereo XLR balanced audio, also digital AES, which none of us really use, but broadcasters do. It does that, but it also has the input mode, so it'll be a phone patch of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, say, an Apollo or a mixer, and you've got that extra line in, line out where you can inject something else, this now can become your phone patch, as it were. And again, not a lot of people need this, but there are some folks I work with who are like, listen, I still get dialed in on a telephone, POTS, plain old telephone, every day, but I don't have a telephone.
Who does?
Pardon me. So I'm using Skype or I'm using something else, and Skype's kind of wonky and doesn't sound very good. And there's just a lot of reasons to just use this familiar thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a way to connect this to your studio. Anyway, that's
Very cool.
it's the Bluetooth gadget, and I'll probably get one to play around with at some point and test it. But it's a cool company. He makes these really neat little problem solver things, and that's Angry Audio.
Cool.
The very last thing I have was, Oh, that was actually it. One other thing.
The
They
audio
make this
chameleon.
this chameleon. What it is his way of creating a hardware box. And you guys know we have our own trouble on the show getting audio levels all exactly like between the mics and the commercials, for example, right? This is a hardware box that does that.
Oh,
that's literally what it does. It's hard for us because software, we do everything in software.
Right.
But this would be something you'd put between your mixer and your broadcast, your radio or transmitter or whatever, your streamer, I guess. And you can set the output LUFS on the box. So you say, I want an output, an average level of -20, -18, whatever. And the box just automatically calibrates the levels for you all the time. Not only that, they make one for headphones, which, we all talk about this in VO. You don't use headphones to create this fake version of what you sound like, because it's coloring you. But in radio,
well, radio's
the
a whole other
point is to be in love with the way you sound on the radio. So this box, the C3, I think it's called, does this job, but just for your headphones. So it gives you that perfectly leveled audio, loud and clear. When the commercials come in, it's the same. Everything comes in at that same full level all the time. And so you can make yourself sound beautiful to yourself and not screw up the recording with processing you shouldn't have been using in the first place. Anyway, that's a weird little product, right? But I just thought it was interesting. Maybe I'll get my hands on one and play around with it. I know some voice actors who could probably use this.
Yeah.
I know one that turns his headphone knob up and down.
And I know who you're talking about.
And you know who I'm talking about. I might get it for him. Anyway,
and he'll break
that's
that one. So
yeah, he'll break that. He doesn't have to. The beauty of it, you don't have to touch it. That's the good news. It's automatic. Anyway, there's a few new fun things to check out.
Cool.
That's it.
So here's what I wanted to talk about this week, because I get this all the time. People who are beginners, people have been doing it for a while. Maybe, a lot of people use Audacity as their software. That's really what I want to talk about is, we always get that question, what's the best microphone for voiceover? What's the best software for? Now I've been doing this a long time. I have been recording digitally for over 20 years. It's changed a lot. It's gotten a lot better, and it's gotten a lot easier. But the thing there's two elements that allow you to digitally record. One is your digital interface, whether you've got an interface or a USB mic that takes your analog audio and turns it into the ones and zeros that your computer understands, and turns it into the graphic representation of audio, whether it's a waveform or a spectrogram or all those weird things that you see in Isotope that looks like a model for global warming.
Right.
The thing is what really is best when it comes to software. I am convinced that all software, in the aggregate, all sounds exactly the same. Digital audio is digital audio. It's what the software can do to either enhance, which of course, what I think about enhancing audio, or clean it up, or has what I like to call the proper workflow for doing voiceover.
The buzzword right there, workflow.
Right, because when you're doing auditions all the time, you want to get it out the door. If you've got a project and it's like, give us 3 takes or something, boom, you want to get it out the door, and you want to be able to edit it quickly, and of course you want it to sound right. Now, of course, you and I agree that the best way to sound right is to have the best environment to record in, proper microphone technique, and learn how to set proper levels. Those are the 3 basics.
Get those out of the way.
Yeah. As long as you do that, any software is going to work. We know there are a lot of professional audiobook narrators still using Audacity because it's got the right workflow for what they do.
Right.
I personally been using Adobe Audition since before it was Adobe Audition, when it was
Sound Studio.
It was Sound Booth.
Or Sound Booth, yeah.
Sound Booth. And I've been using that for well over 15 years. And it's amongst software, it has a workflow for voiceover. It's because it's designed to be for voice, not for music, because all of this stuff is designed for music. We never recommend people use Pro Tools. Now, some people learned on Pro Tools.
Yeah, they started a long time ago.
Right,
when there
and
were a
they
lot
know
more
how to
options.
use it.
Yeah.
You know, we know a lot of people who do voiceover, who do a lot of multi-level things where it's like lots of different files, and they're like, well, I know how to do
Yeah.
it on Pro Tools,
Yeah.
therefore I will do it on Pro Tools.
They learn that workflow. They learn like how the clips work and the regions and the
Yeah,
how
that
to deal
stuff.
with multi-track and
Yeah.
how to manage the file. Like their whole system is built around it. Yeah,
Right,
That's
right.
That's
But
true.
that's especially if they were musicians also, because
Yeah.
then they will.
Or if they were trained by studio owners or producers
producers or
that know
engineers.
Pro Tools, you know,
Right,
that's how
exactly.
they were trained.
Yeah. The thing is Pro Tools is not going to make you a better voice actor.
No.
It will make you maybe a better recording engineer, but again, if you
But
go
it-
for those three basics, who cares?
It might also make you a more frustrated voice actor
Well-
when you get confused because you changed the modes of the operation of the the editor, and now the playhead doesn't start at the beginning and it does this, and you're like, why did that happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pro Tools has a lot of complexity too.
Yeah. Adobe Audition has some complexity, but
It's kind of a sweet spot.
it is because, you know, I mean, you can do multi-tracking on it. So like if I'm producing podcasts or something,
Yeah.
it's fabulous for that.
Yeah,
Because
it
you
can if you need it.
balance the levels and work on each individual track.
Yeah.
But as voice actors, your primary thing is one mono file. And you don't need, as I like to say, a control room for a nuclear reactor to control a hamster running in a wheel.
I'm glad that Audacity, maybe was it a year or two ago, adopted the, it should just be one track
Right.
mode. Like that's now the default, right?
Right.
Now that they've done that, it feels and works more like a one track recorder editor. You know, it's
Yeah.
more.
The latest version has lots of features to it, which is really
does.
cool.
It
you know.
does.
And of course, a lot of people who are sending me audio, how do I fix this in Audacity? Or how do I make this? Well, I have to go into Audacity and go, oh, I haven't used this for, oh, they changed that.
Right. Yeah.
And now I have to go figure that out.
Yeah. It's like 3.2.3 or 2 or whatever.
3.2.2. I know. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just updated yesterday because I updated to 3.2.1 last week.
Right. Right.
So, but
Yeah.
Audacity is great stuff. I mean, and the best part about it, it's free.
It's free.
You know,
You
it's
know,
free.
You know, you use Twisted Wave as well.
I do use Twisted Wave.
That's kind of the one that I have kind of hitched my wagon to, if you want to
Well,
call
we
it
both
that.
have. I mean, ever since Bo Weaver
Yeah.
told us about it.
Yeah, in
which was
2007.
a long time ago. 2007, 2008. I
Yeah,
mean,
somewhere around
'cause
there.
I remember when I first met you, and you were showing people this remote system you had. There was Twisted Wave on it, and that was in 2008. So it's been around,
It's
for
been around
a while.
long time, and it's proven itself to be a very stable, reliable, and
Super duper simple.
simple. And he hasn't mucked with the user interface.
No, he hasn't.
Like
It's
it
always
just
the same.
it pretty much looks and works the same year after year. And I think professional tools don't muck with that thing that makes it work, makes it familiar.
Right.
You know, that really bugged me about Apple with GarageBand when they give it a makeover. You know, and you had to really go back to school and learn how to use it again. You had to watch all their training videos. I'm speaking for myself. It drove me crazy. This is 6, 7 years ago, but still that kind of like thing where a company will just arbitrarily change things because somebody decided it needs a new look.
Right.
You don't want software that has that.
Adobe doesn't do that either. You
No.
know, Audition has not changed at all
Pretty
in
much,
10 years.
yeah.
It adds features and
It
things
adds
that
features.
you can do.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like that you can hide everything you don't need to see in Audition. You can hide a million different features.
Right.
I know people also like Reaper, and I think the Reaper speaks to computer geeks more because
Okay.
it's more like Legos. Like there's a lot of pieces that you have to build correctly
Right.
for it to do a good job as voiceover.
Right.
Like you can use it out of the box, but you'll be banging your head against the wall until
Right,
you
right.
completely customize it.
Right.
But once you've done that, it does its job really well. One that I just can't wrap my head around is Studio One. And I know
It's for making music. That's why.
Yeah, I know Don Barnes is an absolute pro, and he has a whole system for teaching it. Every time I open it, and I've seen some of his videos and all this stuff, I still wonder, why did they take that weird circuitous route to get to the end product? It just doesn't jive for me, and the interface is so noisy. Noisy meaning lots of things going on, a
Yeah,
million
yeah.
different things. It's just kind of a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
I that's why I like Twisted Wave, because Twisted Wave is just super duper simple.
it gets out of the way.
You turn it on, you boot it up, you hit record, and you go.
Yeah.
And it
gets out of the way.
It gives you, there's lots of, it has everything you need to do voiceover.
Yeah.
It's it's got all any filters you want to use, and then how many filters do I use? A high pass filter, and maybe and I'm really not using a lot of compression at all anymore.
The more experience you have, you'll find the less
you'll use.
the less you need compressor. Yeah.
Exactly. If you know how to use your mic, if you set your levels right, compression is not that important. I mean, it's always important. The thing is if you give somebody your audio that is going to manipulate the audio after you give it to them
and put it into a mix,
give them, as we used to say in education, a tabula rasa, a blank slate, something that they can play with. That it's like, okay, maybe there's one little transient little spike here, but I can calm that down as long as it sounds good to start with. That's all they worry about. I'm not a big fan of Reaper, because Reaper has a green to darker green VU meter.
Oh yeah. No, they don't have what I would call like a properly. Yeah, it needs to go green, yellow, red.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of universal at this point.
But Reaper doesn't do that. So when you're trying to explain that to somebody in Reaper, like, what? It's like, it's just green. Okay, well, all right, well.
Yeah.
Software that'll give you green, yellow, orange, and red, which Audacity does and Audition does. And Twisted Wave does. That's why we like them. Anyway, that's my take on software. Take it for whatever it's worth. But Audition, Twisted Wave, Audition works across platforms. We understand that Thomas is making a beta for PC for Twisted.
Oh yeah, you can go download it right now. In fact, he's even supporting stacking in the Windows version. In fact, I wish I mentioned it earlier, but now you mentioned it. There is cross compatibility. I can make a stack as long as the plugins are Windows compatible. So they have to be VST. Right. But as long as I'm using those plugins and you have the same plugins, I can make a stack on the Mac and it will load on PC. Wow. So that is happening in the Windows Twisted Wave world. So that's encouraging to see.
But save yourself the trouble and just get a Mac. It makes it a lot easier.
You know. Sorry.
That's right. Anyway, all right, we're going to take a break. We got lots of questions, Jeff?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We'll be right back with your questions right after this, so don't go away. We'll be right back with VoiceOver Body Shop.
This is Ariana Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
VoiceOverEssentials.com has the ultimate answer for mic safety. Look, your mic is the most valuable part of your audio chain, so protect it from boom stand disaster. It's the ABS, the Adjustable Boom Stop. It's simple, ingenious, and infinitely adjustable. The padded non-slip pouch fits almost any size boom arm. It has a unique double-loop webbing system for an unlimited angle of the down strap. It works with tripod and solid round bases. A strong articulated strap keeps your boom where you want it without weights, sandbags, or knuckle-busting tightening of the boom clutch. The light gray webbing lets you mark and repeat stand settings for just the right spot for you or anyone else who uses your microphone, saving time and guesswork. This is the simple solution that simply works. You'll kick yourself for not having thought of it. Lock it in place with our ABS, the Adjustable Boom Stop. Get it now at VoiceOverEssentials.com.
Time to talk about Source Elements, the creators of Source Connect, and a whole slew of tools. We mentioned the word workflow earlier today, and that's really the name of the game. Source Connect. There's a lot of tools now that stream audio over the internet that allow for multiple people to collaborate, right? There's so many things out there now, but Source Connect has a very well embedded workflow into the studios that love to use it. And that is why it is really the tool of choice for the pros. It has its downside, which is, well, as an actor, you also have to own it, right? And that is something that not everybody likes. But the good news about it is, first of all, you can demo it for free. Secondly, you can subscribe and get a monthly subscription for the software. And if you find you're not going to be using it in the long term, maybe things have gone a different direction, your career's changed, whatever, you can stop paying for the subscription and you end up investing far less than actually buying the software license outright. Others of you hate subscriptions and will end up buying the license outright, and that's fine too. But whatever you choose to do, go over to source-elements.com and learn more about it, how Source Connect can work in your studio. Yes, it's Windows and Mac compatible. Yes, it's a little bit more Mac friendly, but it absolutely will work on both. So give it a try and let us know if you need anything, because we can help you. Anyway, let's get back to your questions right after this. Thanks, Source Elements.
Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence, the 17th, with the ACX Masterclass. We're coming up on a full decade, just a few months shy of the training that we've been offering on how to make ACX a place where you can build a business as an audiobook narrator. And all this week and all next week, we're celebrating with a series of free video training sessions on how to set up your business, what it takes to be an audiobook narrator, what you can expect in terms of the equipment and the production process and working with rights holders, the authors and publishers who have books that they want you to read. Just go to acxmasterclass.com and you'll get all the details. There'll be a link right there for you to see the videos. And we'd love to be part of the reason that you end up creating an audiobook narration production practice, that you become an audiobook narrator. Join us. Absolutely free, great information, acxmasterclass.com. That's acxmasterclass.com.
Hi, this is Bill Farmer, and you are watching Voice Over Body Shop. It's great.
And we are back talking tech.
Yes,
on Tech Talk. And we got lots of questions today, but people have written in their questions because we keep telling you guys,
I'm impressed.
Write your questions in, because then you go to the front of the queue and your question gets asked first.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how many came in.
Yes. Now, this particular question, when I saw this earlier this week, I'm like, oh, I get it. This is.
It has your name all over it?
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Smith writes, I recently had a voiceover instructor call me out in a group class setting for having my Neumann TLM 103 right side up as opposed to upside down.
Right, so hanging down versus this. Yeah.
They went on to say, some mics are designed to deliver a warmer, richer sound when positioned upside down, which is essentially BS.
Right.
Is there any truth to this statement? No, it's BS. Whoever was instructing you had no idea what they were talking about. Now, he says, I've experimented with lots of different positions, and I find when it's upside down, I tend to stay a little too far back from it. So I like the right side up position, as it's easier to orient myself to. Here's why I recommend, and I think you recommend as well,
I do.
why you have the mic like this. Upside down, suspended like that, at the height of the bridge of your nose, and anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 inches away. So your copy is down and underneath, and you can see it clearly. You can gesticulate without banging the mic.
That's a big thing.
So there's a lot of advantages.
You're not going to kick the stand.
Right, exactly. And it's out of the way. But here's the big psychological thing, and why. And when I tell people this, and they do, and then they write back and go, you freed me. Because you're supposed to sound like you. And sometimes when people get on mic, they think they have to talk louder because they're on a microphone. If it's up here, it's at the upper periphery of your vision. Yeah. It's still picking you up just fine, like you're hearing me right this moment. And your copy's down here, and it's unobstructed.
Right.
And that's because you want to concentrate on that, not on being on a microphone.
Yeah, you're not talking at the mic. The mic, it isn't a 1940s dramatic radio ad where you're talking at the mic. That's
right.
The mic is listening in on you. It's eavesdropping on you.
Right. And you'll also notice by having it there, it is at the same
height as your ears, pretty much.
The same height as your ears, which is how other people perceive you. If it's right side up, you have to be a little off axis to see your copy.
Yeah, it's got to be like one side or the other.
Right. And that's not good. But the statement about it's warmer if it's upside, the only reason it would get warmer is if you start using proximity effect.
Right.
And I'm not changing the tonality of my voice at all, and you can hear it gets deeper. Don't use the microphone to do that. Let it pick you up as you exist to other people.
I think it's a lot easier to pop the mic too when it's down below.
And that's
Way
the other
easier.
reason, because I can go Peter Piper, picked a peck of pickled peppers, and there are no plosives.
Yeah.
So why have this big black screen in front of your mic that's going to distract you and remind you that you're on a microphone?
It's going to start sagging down while you're reading,
Exactly.
whatever.
Exactly. So hopefully, Josh, that answers your question.
Yeah. I think that might have been something that notion got sort of co-opted, convoluted with tube microphones, and that they needed to be upside down or right side up because the heat of the tube would blow. There was some really old school, old-fashioned notions about this, but yeah,
Just do it this way.
The
It
mic
makes
can
it a
be
lot
the mic can be
easier.
oriented literally all 360 directions. It's the capsule facing you.
Right.
That would be like going to this mic and saying, "Well, if I twist it this way,
does that make a
Does that
difference?
sound better now?"
No.
No, it doesn't. The capsule's round. It doesn't matter. So, anyway, Vic Case says, "I'm a renter looking for a relatively quiet rental location, and I'm considering getting a vocal booths to go acoustic booth and putting it in an interior room or walk-in closet. My attraction to this particular booth is that it doesn't weigh anything like a regular booth. I guess you mean like an ISO booth.
Yeah. Try
And
lifting
thus
that up.
would be acceptable to the landlord, because the landlord weighs everything he brings into his apartment, apparently. Would it need acoustic fine-tuning, like bass traps, etc., like some other booths? And is there an optimal size to get for acoustics? The problem with putting these blanket booths into a closet is now the closet is the defining factor of how it's going to sound, because now you're in this chamber. And so if you stick it in a small closet, it's going to sound like you're in a small closet, but a little better.
Right.
If you stick it in a large room, now the room isn't as much of a factor because there's a lot more space around you, and it will sound much better.
Right. You don't want to have it up against a wall.
Yeah, if you can avoid having it flat up against a wall, that's usually a good idea. And it depends on how heavy the blankets are and what product it's made
Well, he's
out,
talking about a vocal booth to go, and those are the producer's choice blankets,
which are good heavy blankets.
They're very, very good.
Yeah, yeah.
And and they make a bunch of different sizes of booths too.
Yeah,
So,
they do. Yeah.
So what kind of room does Vic have in order to have a booth like that?
So he mentioned bass traps. I'm going to speak now to my own product because I'm the most knowledgeable about it. I helped Rick Wasserman design something called Tri-Booth, and this is our take on this type of concept. And what we have found is that it does sound best when it is not up against any surface, not right up against a wall or in a small room, closet, because when you're in those small spaces, there's bass reflex. And that's where that bass trapping notion really becomes an issue, like because that chamber is resonating with your voice, it's booming with your voice.
Right.
And those blankets, while they're nice and heavy, they still can't stop that resonant low frequency stuff, right? So you really don't want to get into those chambers. But when the booth's freestanding, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like, man,
I've also found that if you're talking towards a wall, it's going to bounce through, because these booths, the blanket booths, are not soundproof.
Right.
How many times over the 12 years we've been doing this show have we told people there is a difference between sound
damping,
diffusion and absorption,
right,
and soundproofing? They are two totally different things.
Right.
So if you want to you can put up all the soundproofing foam you want. It's not going to stop any sound from coming in your booth.
No.
But the thing is when you use a booth like that, it's got to be in a very quiet room, which is why closets are good.
Yeah, I can see why someone would pick a closet if that's the quietest place they can find.
Right. And it also depends on where you position your mic. Because if you're talking towards the wall, it's going to bounce back. So why not have the mic facing out towards the room,
right?
Which will also, depending on the mic you have, will also prevent noise from coming directly into your mic out of a window or something like that. Mic orientation can do a whole lot to help with your noise floor.
It can, yeah.
So think
absolutely.
about that.
Yeah. So I think you're going to have to go with what's comfortable for you. Debi Derryberry last week said, you need a space where you can put your hands up like this. So whatever it is, if you're going to be acting and hit things all the time, then it's probably too small, right? So in terms of size, it really comes down to what's going to fit your body and your body size and type and how you like to work.
Right. But those booths do a very good job of dampening the sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
No question about it.
They get
right
rid of the
through it.
reflections.
Right.
They do that really, really well.
Aaron Goodson, you get.
Ooh, look at this one.
Yeah.
Getting wordy.
Because this is your department.
Okay, let's do it. First, Aaron says, "Hey fellas, thanks for all that you do and providing guidance and resources for all us VO artists out there. Love your podcasts and the useful information you provide. So I'm having an issue with my Xfinity service provider and port forwarding. I have been using Source Connect for a while now. Initially, I had no problem setting up my port forward. I recently bought a new computer, and now when trying to delete the port forward from the old computer IP address and transfer to the new one, it keeps giving me an error message and won't go through. I've reached out to Xfinity tech support, and they couldn't help me. It's not a surprise. Logging into the router, the port forward section is disabled and tells you to use the Xfinity app. That's correct. But the app continuously gives an error message. When looking through some posts online, it looks like this is a recurring issue for many people. Short of canceling my service and choosing a new internet provider, good luck with that, because if you could, you would have by now.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's another workaround to get this port forward set up on my new computer's IP address. Is there another port other than the 6000 and 6001 that I can use? I use Source Connect on an almost daily basis, and I want to have the strongest connection. Thanks for your help. Well,
go.
First, why have you not done a session with Source Element support yet? A, because if they don't know, nobody does. B, I ran into this very recently with a client of mine, and she had this exact same problem. And it turned out in her studio, she also had Eros, those internet network Wi-Fi extender thingamabobs, right? And I realized that the Eero is also a router. So she had the Xfinity modem, the Xfinity router, and the Eero. What did I do? I deep sixed the Xfinity router. I just got rid of it. I plugged the Xfinity modem into the Eero and made the Eero the router. And then you do your port forwarding on the little app on your phone. That's the only thing that bugs me about the Eero. You got to do everything on a mobile phone, I guess for security or something. But anyway, once you do that, it works beautifully. It gets rid of all the Xfinity pain in the neck limitations. So other than talking to Source Elements and getting their help, don't use Xfinity's router, period. Don't use it. Just use their modem and use whatever router you want. And there's a million options. Eros are really good. Synology, I have a Synology router myself. We have a Synology router here. Netgear, there's a ton of companies that make good routers nowadays. But just ditch the Xfinity router. Get rid of it. Take it out of your life. If you can get Fios fiber, you should have by now. If you can't, you're stuck with Xfinity cable modem. I mean, you get what you can get in your neighborhood. Not everybody can get those technologies.
But you can use any cable modem.
Well, you don't technically have to use Xfinity's own cable modem either. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think if there's anything that maybe you want them to provide is maybe the modem, because it's provisioned for them, and if it burns out, they know what's going on. They can communicate with it from their end. Blah blah blah. But it's much better to eliminate the equipment, because it is definitely a head scratcher, and it does happen when you get a new computer, because it remembers the old computer. It knows the MAC address of that computer on the network, and as long as that computer still exists in your house, it will always be wanting to talk to the old computer. The new one will conflict with it, and you'll get errors. And it doesn't work.
Where are you?
Yeah,
Where do you put? Okay.
Anyway, it's annoying, really annoying, and it's already said too much.
Okay.
Moving on.
Now, J. Horace Black has a question about VPNs. Now, as far as I know about VPNs, it's what people in Russia use to make sure that Putin isn't listening in on them.
Yeah, or Iran.
What is a virtual private network? Because he says, what's your opinion on VPNs?
Yeah, so a VPN is virtual private network, and the way they are marketed, mostly I've noticed, is for privacy, so that you can connect to your office computer from anywhere in the world and not have to worry about somebody snooping on you.
Right.
And it's also marketed as a way to watch, let's say, your favorite Netflix shows from the BBC that are only on in England. So you log into a VPN server in England, and all of a sudden you're in England, and you can watch all the BBC.
That would explain why I can't watch Netflix in Spain.
Right. So when you're in Spain,
where's my series?
you need to log into your VPN and connect to a US VPN, and then you can watch all your stuff. Unless you're watching a lot of YouTube TV, and Google's just too smart for that. So they will still shut you off, because Google is, well, they are the internet at this point. So that's what a VPN is really for. I haven't really used one on any consistent basis. Call me lacking caution or a little carefree.
Right.
I haven't done it. The other thing is VPNs will slow down the network, because you're going literally through another network connection somewhere else in the world before it goes to somewhere else. So obviously there's going to be additional latency and a little more slowing down. It's not as high performance, but if you just want to watch your Netflix when you travel, the VPN's the way to go.
All right. Now, I have this little thing here for our next question. It says,
he had a second part. Real quick.
Oh, there was a second. What's your opinion
I'll
on
be real quick.
Clean My Mac, X Max Cleaner Pro apps?
I do have Clean My Mac.
Yeah.
I've had it for years. I have installed it on some systems. I find it works fine. Most Apple enthusiasts will say you don't need them, because they say Apple knows how to properly manage its own system.
Right.
But it is helpful if you're a little bit zealous with installing crap, like me.
It helps you uninstall stuff.
Yeah, it really helps uninstall things that are loading at startup. And why is that thing always in the menu bar no matter how? It helps you get rid of those apps. It does have a good malware scanner.
Yeah. If it doesn't have any in it itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do own and use Clean My Mac X. I think that's what they call it. And I think it's fine, but I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I think it's just a helpful set of tools. It also has a really good way of scanning your hard drive to find those hidden ginormous files that are taking up space. Duplicate files,
pictures, duplicate.
Yeah, like a lot of people that if you plug your iPhone into your computer to back it up, people don't realize that it's kept backups of every version of iOS you've ever owned. And all of a sudden, you've got like 60 gigs of backups on your computer. You don't even know. So it helps you find stuff like that.
Yeah, that's happened to me. Grace Newton, who always has a great question, says, I need a webcam for my video podcast, but I have nowhere to plug it in. Is there a hub for a MacBook Air that has more than 2 USB ports? But of course there is.
Sure.
I mean, you get one of these, which has USB-C on it, and it's got 3 more ports. So out of one, you get 2 extra ones.
Yeah.
So
what else is on this little guy here?
it's
got USB 1, 2, 3, and then another USB-C connector over here. Yeah.
Right.
And then, this has another little surprise. It's got a power in jack on. Sorry, here's the camera. It's also got a power in jack, so you can plug your Apple charger into this, and your other devices into these, and then you only have to plug one thing in, right?
Exactly.
And this is USB only, but they have some that are Thunderbolt.
Right.
They have some that have 5 USB ports and a micro SD card reader.
I got one with
and
10.
an Ethernet. Yeah. In terms of brand, J5 is kind of like the house brand at Best Buy. Sometimes okay, sometimes not.
These work
varies. I like Anchor brand. I find they've been doing a very good job with making.
Yeah. Well, the 10 one I have is an Anchor. So
yeah, ANKER. They're one of those, like, they were an off Chinese brand, and now they're so well established that They're totally mainline, kind of like TCL TVs and Hisense and all these companies that came from nowhere, and now they're like amazing products. So,
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah, that's the way to go.
It's just get an adapter, and it solves that problem real quickly. And you
Yeah.
get these at Best Buy.
You probably
or-
thought
or
that nobody
online or
makes it
Amazon.
because Apple doesn't make one. I still don't to this day
exactly.
understand why Apple leaves that money on the table. They could make
two ports.
Yeah, the Apple could make a badass $200 USB hub. I would maybe buy it. I don't know. A lot of people would. They don't. I still don't get that. It's a very weird thing, and they could make billions of dollars selling hubs. They don't. But anyway, there you go.
Okay. Jeff has a question.
Holman, which one's going to read it?
I'll read.
My
Okay.
turn?
When they ask for auditions, Jeff Holman, our social media czar,
He's right over there.
when they ask for auditions without post-processing, is it cool to still use inline filters? George has set one up for me in Presonus Revelator. George, can you demonstrate how to bring video into Twisted Wave for audio editing? It's drag it and put it in there, as I recall.
Well, yeah, there's two questions. So the first one, if they know that you're doing it, you have to turn it off. That's the rule.
Exactly.
Like if they can hear that you're processing, you can't use it.
Exactly.
I know that's a very nebulous answer, but
if they say no, don't.
It kind of lends into what I was saying before. If and it's on, you don't know it's on, but when you turn it off, it sounds a lot worse. Then you might need it. If nobody knows you're using it and it's doing some very, very minimal things like applying a high pass filter and then maybe a de-esser or sibilant control, if that's what you're using it for, whatever it is in your user case. If it just takes what you do and makes it, I don't know, polishes it up without distracting or sounding processed, then it's probably okay. But yeah, like if there's a gate and there's like this gate cutting in and out,
Don't use a gate.
they're gonna know it. They're gonna hear it. It's gonna drive them crazy. And
wouldn't have set up a gate for me.
Probably not. But I don't remember.
High-pass filter.
Yeah, if it's just a high pass
can
filter,
do an amazing amount of stuff for you. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's where it's inaudible mostly, but it's on the meter, and an engineer is going to see it.
Yeah, a high pass filter is nice because it keeps that junk from getting through down the line, especially on Source Connect. Because if imagine you're connecting to a $10,000 set of speakers, right? And your microphone's picking up all this rumble, right? Well, when you record yourself, who cares? You just filter, you just EQ it or high pass filter plug in, whatever. But when you connect to that studio live real time, they're gonna see it on their waveform. Worse off, they're going to see it, their speakers going like,
Sense around.
you know, and that's not good. So for live record sessions, having that high pass filter, I think is really a good idea.
Exactly. And question number 2, can you demonstrate how to bring video into Twisted Wave for audio editing, please?
So if you're talking about editing the audio on a video track versus editing a video, what is the context in which you would use it?
Editing the audio of a video track.
So like you've got a video, it's got audio on it, and it's like you're doing a self tape.
Right, exactly.
And you want to clean up a self tape.
For audition.
It's the beautiful thing is it will work exactly like a WAV file. You won't even notice a difference, except there'll be a little video window that's floating there. But you just work and do everything in the exact same way you normally do, if it's a stack or whatever. And then you save it, and as long as you've paid for that, you have to pay for the video license. But as long as you have that video license, it will save the video back out again with your changes. So the beauty of it is it works exactly the same.
How do you think I turn this into a podcast every week?
Are you using that now?
I just take the MP4 file, throw it into Twisted Wave, there it is.
Boom. There you go.
Use any compression we use for podcasting because it's podcasting.
Yeah.
No, Twisted Wave is great.
It's
for
so
that.
easy to
It's
do
just
it.
drag and drop.
Yeah. Now, if you don't have the video license, when you do the same exact thing, when you save the audio from the video, you only get the audio.
Right. You still got to sync it back up. In
Yeah.
your
There's
software.
no video on, but when you have the video add-on, then you're going to get the full video output. So
exactly.
That's how that works.
And
But,
the final question tonight is from Patricia Andrea. No information on Luna. Is it any good? I meant Luna, the software that comes with the Apollo digital audio workstation.
It's very good for music producers. Full stop.
And again, most of this stuff was never designed
for voiceover.
They're not sitting in corporate boardrooms going, we need to make a voiceover mic. We need to have voiceover
Not
software. Yet. We need to have,
Nobody's gotten it quite yet.
No, because we're a small niche market compared to, say, podcasting. Which is why they're making podcasting mics and podcasting interfaces.
According to V.com, there's a small niche market of 2 million voices on their website. So, small niche market.
Wow.
There's a lot of voice actors. So, Luna is definitely a multi-track mixing, recording, production. It's designed to emulate a real analog, traditional recording studio where you've got a huge analog desk,
92 tracks.
Yeah, and then you have a 24-track tape machine that has its own sound, and that's what Luna does. It emulates the whole signal flow of an old school, a traditional recording studio. But I think I installed it the day it came out, and I looked at it and said, "This isn't for us." And I that's the last time I opened it. Maybe there's something new I haven't looked at in a couple of years.
But Patricia, forget about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't bug.
Don't bother yourself. Yeah. Well, that's a lot of great questions.
It was. Yeah. Thanks for all of those, and thanks for all the pre-show questions too.
We appreciate
primed the pump.
Right. Just write to us at. Are you ready, Sue? The guys at VOBS.TV.
There it is.
It's right there. And that way, if you write to us during the week, I get them in my little, eWeb shop inbox.
I know. It still says
I wish
eWebs.
we could change that. But it comes into my inbox. I'm like, there's a great question. Can we use it on the air or on the internet? What's on the air these days? Except flies. And it goes to the front of the queue.
Yep.
So
keep them coming.
Write those questions down. Of course, we love you to watch the show live and ask interactively. Otherwise, Jeff would just be sitting here going,
we like interaction. Well, actually, what would happen is Jeff would just have all his own questions answered every week.
Exactly.
And we don't want that now, do we?
No. All righty. Well, we're going to wrap things up in just a minute here, so don't go away. We'll be right back after these incredibly important messages.
This is the Latin lover narrator from Jane the Virgin, Anthony Mendez, and you're enjoying Dan and George on The VoiceOver Body Shop.
In these modern times, every business needs a website. When you need a website for your voice acting business, there's only one place to go. Like the name says, voiceactorwebsites.com. Their experience in this niche webmaster market gives them the ability to quickly and easily get you from concept to live online in a much shorter time. When you contact voiceactorwebsites.com, their team of experts and designers really get to know you and what your needs are. They work with you to highlight what you do. Then they create an easily navigable website for your potential clients to get the big picture of who you are and how your voice is the one for them. Plus, VoiceActorWebsites.com has other great resources, like their practice script library and other resources to help your voiceover career flourish. Don't try it yourself. Go with the pros. VoiceActorWebsites.com, where your VO website shouldn't be a pain in the you-know-what.
Your dynamic voiceover career requires extra resources to keep moving ahead. There's one place where you can explore everything the voiceover industry has to offer. That place is voiceoverextra.com. Whether you're just exploring a voiceover career or a seasoned veteran ready to reach that next professional level, stay in touch with market trends, coaching, products, and services while avoiding scams and other pitfalls. VoiceOver Extra has hundreds of articles, free resources, and training that will save you time and help you succeed. Learn from the most respected talents, coaches, and industry insiders when you join the online sessions, bringing you the most current information on topics like audiobooks, auditioning, home studio setup and equipment, marketing, performance techniques, and much more. It's time to hit your one-stop daily resource for voiceover success. Sign up for a free subscription to newsletters and reports. It's all here at voiceoverextra.com. That's voiceoverextra.com.
This is Bill Ratner, and you're enjoying VoiceOver Body Shop with Dan Leonard and George Whittam. VOBS.TV.
All right.
Thanks, Bill.
Which camera is it here? It's that one there. Okay. We need to have tally lights on them.
Yeah,
We've
need
always
more
wanted
stuff.
to do that. But
we need more stuff.
we've never done that. Yeah. Let's just have Jeff have a flag there. All right, that's the camera we're using.
Wave a flag over this. Wave a flag over this one.
And it helps looking at the monitor too.
Yeah.
Anyway, by the
Now
way,
you're messing with
that
us.
was a great session of Tech Talk.
Yes, it was.
That's the way
we
Tech
got-
Talk's supposed to be.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yes.
Answered a lot of questions.
Right.
Made up a few things.
Exactly.
You just have to figure out which ones we made up.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Totally unscripted here, kids.
Just kidding.
Next week, Jason Lanier White promises to be here,
Yay.
and he's a great guy, and has a great group called the Voxernauts, and
Maybe he can demonstrate some of his mocap stuff in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
Now you've cleaned out the space.
Yes, we can-
He can start doing acrobatics in here.
there we go.
He's the
Anyway,
most physically active voice actor I've ever met. He's
yeah.
amazing.
and he's got a big booth to do it in too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
anyway, who are our donors of the week? We have
Yeah, we got a few of them. Robert Leadham,
Steve Chandler,
Casey Clack,
Jonathan Grant,
Thomas Pinto,
Shelley Avellino,
Greg Thomas,
A Doctor's Voice,
Antland Productions,
Martha Kahn. Hey, Martha.
949 Designs,
Christopher Epperson,
Sarah Borges,
Philip Sapir,
Brian Page,
Patty Gibbons,
Rob Ryder,
Shauna Pennington Baird,
Don Griffith,
Trey Mosley,
Dana Birdsall.
and Sandra Manwiller.
Yes.
Hey, we appreciate that, everybody.
Sure do.
You can donate by just going to our website, and there's a button that says Donate Now, and you can set it up and pay monthly, or
$1 if you want.
$1 a month. It helps.
We're going to
Make
read
sure
your
that-
name no matter what.
well, yes, and we get to read your name, so do that.
You never know.
All right, what do you got going on? You got some
well,
sort
let's
of
see.
a-
By the time you watch this, if you watch it on the release day, then on Tuesday this week, we're going to have that free webinar, Ask Me Anything, Michael Pearson Adams from Waves Audio, who has interviewed and worked with all the top engineers in the business, knows audio left, right, front, way, sideways, knows
And
audio
backwards,
plugins.
right.
He's extremely knowledgeable and a very nice guy from Australia. So he'll be coming in from Brisbane,
Good day.
which is in its own time zone, even though it's right north of Melbourne. It's an hour earlier. It's so weird. Anyway,
And it's on the other
Brisbane,
side of the
Australia.
international date line, so who cares?
it's all
tomorrow.
messed up.
Right.
Anyway, it's Wednesday morning Australia time, Tuesday evening our time.
And we know people are watching in Australia.
That's right.
We need to thank the people who also make this show possible. That's Jeff Holman, who is monitoring the chat room, doing a great job with that.
Thank you, sir.
And Sue Merlino, who just continues to just
Succumb to
every whim that we throw at her. Our
Thank you,
director,
thank
who
you,
does a
thank
great job
you.
with that. Let's see what else we got going on here. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think we're done.
I
I think
put
we
a
can
fork
let
in
these
it.
guys go home.
Exactly. But look, voiceover is not an easy business. It's a very niche thing, and you have to learn how to be a good voice actor.
There are many niches in this niche of voiceover.
There are, and there's some
It's
people
very
that are better
niche-y.
at some niches than others. But when it comes to your audio, if you do it right, if you set it up right, and you talk to us, it'll sound great. Because if it sounds good,
It is good.
I'm Dan Leonard,
And I'm George Whittam.
and this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VOBS
BS.
Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk. See you next week, everybody.